And we are in the middle of our Spring Share-a-thon. The theme for our Spring Share-a-thon is In God We Trust. You can make a pledge or a donation by calling us at 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396. Give us a call. You can also go to afr.net and make a pledge or a donation online. Again, one of the things we appreciate about this listening audience is we only have to pause twice a year for 3 days in the spring and 3 days in the fall, to ask you to partner with us. And you've been so receptive, so responsive, so generous every time we have asked you for this kind of help that we've only had to reserve 6 days a year for this purpose. Now, you've got a lot of organizations. I mean, it's just relentless fundraising all the time. But because of your generosity, we only have to stop twice a year for 3 days and do it. So we greatly appreciate that. We do need you. We do need you to partner with us. You know, I've mentioned this before, but I know that for 359 days a year, you need me to do the homework, to do the research, and to give you content that keeps you informed, gives you a reason to stay motivated, stay engaged in the culture war, and ideas on how to do that effectively. I know you depend on me for that. You need me for that. Well, I'm here to tell you these 6 days, 3 in the spring, 3 in the fall, I have no hesitation telling you that I need you to partner with me, to partner with us here at Focal Point and AFR to keep this message on the air. Again, the number to call if you want to make a pledge, a donation, 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396. Glad to have you call. We got a lot of volunteers out in Share-a-thon Central ready to process your donations, process your pledges. Don't forget, one-time pledge of $150 or more, we will give you a gift bag of 5 decals, 5 bookmarks, and 5 buttons, all emblazoned in big, bold capital letters with the phrase, In God We Trust. Now, if you're able to give us a pledge for $30 a month or more, we'll not only send you the 5 decals, the 5 bookmarks, and the 5 buttons, we will send you an In God We Trust t-shirt, which again has that phrase, In God We Trust, emblazoned on it in big bold letters. You can bear witness everywhere you go to the motto of our nation and the motto of American Family Association and American Family Radio. Mentioned this yesterday. It is our national motto, In God We Trust. It's the law of the land passed by Congress in the 1950s, signed by our president into law. You know, you might have heard that Supreme Court opinions are the law of the land. They aren't. The law of the land are acts that are passed by Congress. And that motto, In God We Trust, the motto of our Spring Share-a-thon, is a motto that has been enacted into law. It is the law of the land. And that's the message we want to get out across all America. You can help us by making a pledge or a donation. You can do that by going to 877-616-2396. That number again is 877-616-2396. You can also donate online at afr.net. And the general manager of American Family Radio has entered the studio to grace us with his presence.
Wow.
Jim, do you have a message for
I do have a
us?
message. It's a message of hope. His name is Jesus.
Amen.
And that's the other thing that we proclaim here on AFR. And we have great pastors that come alongside us and do that too, and we're grateful for them. However, this one leads me to a little different direction. By the way, folks, the number is 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396, or online at afr.net. I give you those numbers on purpose because in about, let's see, where is my official clock? About 5 minutes, you guys are going to go to break. When you come out of break, you still do 15, 30, and 45? Yeah. Okay. All right. When you come out of your break, there will be a mystery challenge.
Yahoo!
All right. And so we're not going to tell you what it is till it's over. So, folks, we need you to give your best gift possible at 877-616-2396. 877-616-2396. You know, we had a nice lady this morning who donated $3,000. And she said that we could use that for a future challenge. And so we took that money, we set it aside, and that might or might not be part of this mystery challenge. But maybe you're the other person who can come along and donate another $5 or $7 or $10,000 to help us prepare for future challenges and throughout the day and throughout tomorrow. So that really is how we get some of that. We've got folks who just beautiful people who take and they'll call us with their $10 and $25, $5 donations. Folks, when we tell you each gift is appreciated, it really is. Just like last hour, we had the $50 add-on challenge. And so there were 250 people that called and had $50 added on to their best gift. And so that was an extra $12,950. We actually rounded it up to $13,000. That was met, that was added on to the $20,000 that Janet and them actually raised during the hour. And so that was the Lord using that and multiplying that and adding it to come up to $32,000, $33,000 in that 1 hour. And so we're able to do this because people call and people give at 877-616-2396 or online at afr.net. So, Bryan, when you come out of the break, you think you can take that and run with it?
We can do it. Mystery challenge.
I leave it in yours and Jeff's and Rob's good hands, and we ask the Lord to bless it, and we ask the listeners to call. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jim. And this listening audience will rise to the occasion. The mystery challenge ready to begin in about 4 minutes from now. Our motto is "In God We Trust." Let's grab a listener testimony, somebody who has benefited from the ministry of AFR. If you're sitting here, this is the second AFR Share-a-thon, you haven't given yet, but you appreciate the work of AFR. It's benefited you in some way. Here's an opportunity for you to put some feet to your gratitude by contributing to our spring Share-a-thon at 877-616-2396.
I began listening to Sandy Rios in the morning about 5 years ago. I found this station by accident when I was looking for a new radio station to listen to. And at the time, I was a registered Democrat, although I'm a Christian. And I justified through the years voting Democrat because basically I watched politicians campaign on platforms that they never lived up to. And I was looking for a new direction and a new light, I guess, in my life. And as I began to pray and get closer to God and listening to Sandy Rios, she really educated me. And it was such a light into my path, and I thank God every day for that. And as I had grown and started to listen to other programs, I never turned the channel anymore. It's always on American Family. And I have shared this with so many people who now listen to American Family. I want to thank you so much for your outreach and what you've done for me and what you've done for others. And please never stop. We need you now more than ever. I pray for our nation, and I pray for our president, and I pray for AFR. Thank you.
Well, that's a great example of someone who was educated by American Family Radio. That's what I consider my spiritual gift, is teaching. And so that's what I'm here to do. I want to teach you about the Scriptures. I want to teach you about public policy. I want to teach you about the Constitution so that you're an informed citizen and an intelligent citizen. And this woman that we just listened to began listening to Sandy, and Sandy educated her about the difference in the political parties in America and how one of them stands for things that are anathema in the eyes of God. One political party stands for the homosexual agenda, and it stands for and protects abortion. The other political party, at least in its platform, stands for pro-life, and it stands for sexual normalcy and for marriage as a union of one man and one woman. We're glad to do that educational work. Be right back.
Digital media editor, Dr. Ray Rooney.
I just get a great joy out of seeing, wow, I work with people that know an awful lot. The insight, the wisdom that people have brought with them when they've come to work at AFA. God called every single individual here at AFA, and the reason I know that is because of the results that we're getting and the corporate spirit. There's no animosity, there's no departmental jealousies. It's amazing to watch it all work together.
I began listening to Sandy Rios in the morning about 5 years ago. I found this station by accident when I was looking for a new radio station to listen to. And at the time, I was a registered Democrat, although I'm a Christian. And I justified through the years voting Democrat because basically I watched politicians campaign on platforms that they never lived up to. And I was looking for a new direction and a new light, I guess, in my life. And as I began to pray and get closer to God and listening to Sandy Rios, she really educated me. And it was such a light into my path, and I thank God every day for that. And as I had grown and started to listen to other programs, I never turned the channel anymore. It's always on American Family. And I have shared this with so many people who now listen to American Family. I want to thank you so much for your outreach and what you've done for me and what you've done for others. And please never stop. We need you now more than ever. I pray for our nation, and I pray for our president, and I pray for AFR. Thank you.
Some trust in chariots, some trust in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. Call now at 877-616-2396 or give online at afr.net. Spring Share-a-thon 2018 continues on American Family Radio.
Bryan Ficher, welcome back to Focal Point on American Family Radio. Spring Share-a-thon, our motto, In God We Trust. Not only the motto of the American Family Association's Spring Share-a-thon, but the motto of the United States of America. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the law of the land. It was passed in the 1950s. So don't let people lie to you and tell you that this whole business about America being founded on a godly heritage only applies to the colonial era, the founding era. A lot of people will give you some of that. They'll try to say, well, they were all deists, which is a lie. They were not. In fact, of the 55 framers of the Constitution, 52 of them took an actual oath that they agreed and supported and affirmed their church or their denomination's statement of faith. And of those statements of faith, all of them were what we would consider today to be an evangelical statement of faith. So literally, the people that put together the Constitution were evangelical, Bible-believing, Christ-following Christians. They took an oath to that effect. So don't let people lie to you. But even if they give us kind of the founding generation, this is the 1950s. This isn't 1750. This is 1950. And our congressional leaders, our president, the leaders of our country, even in the 1950s, said this is a country whose trust is in God, not in government. We have room for God. We acknowledge God in our public life, and that's what we want to affirm here at the American Family Association, American Family Radio. Number, if you want to make a pledge or a donation, is 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396. And do not forget what our general manager, Jim Stanley, said when he was in here. We have now started a mystery challenge.
Yeah.
So we don't know. I don't know. Rob doesn't know. No. Jeff doesn't know what the size of that challenge is. It's a mystery challenge. It will be revealed all in good time. We'll do the Sherlock Holmes thing, and we'll track that number down for you. When the time is right, we will release that information to the public and to the media. No, just kidding about that. So we'll reveal the size of that mystery challenge. In the meantime, we want to challenge you to meet that. Whatever that mystery challenge is, it may be higher than any of us expect, which means the more we give, the more it, in effect, doubles the value of our gift. So that mystery challenge is in effect as we speak. Number to call where you can take advantage of that by making a pledge or a donation is 877-616-2396. 877-616-2396. You know, and speaking of placing our trust in God, I want to talk just for a minute about where I was reading in the Scriptures.
What a great motto.
This morning. Oh, it is.
What a great motto. To trust in the one that's never been defeated and never will be defeated. I don't know why more people don't put their full trust in God. It just makes sense.
Yep, it absolutely does. You know, and people that try to do a different thing find out, they wind up discovering that that's a dead-end road. You know, I'm thinking, first of all, of a guy that did trust in the Lord with all of his heart, a king that we read about yesterday, Asa, reigned for 41 years in Jerusalem. And the description of him is that he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, as David, his father, had done. The heart of Asa was wholly true to the Lord all his days. Now, that's what we want for us. That's what we want in us, and that's what we want in our political leaders. This guy was a king. So this whole thing is about how to identify political leaders that we ought to support, we ought to help, we ought to root for, we ought to vote for. You know, we talked yesterday about Mike Pompeo. He's going to be grilled relentlessly. He's Donald Trump's nominee, President Trump's nominee to be Secretary of State. Remember, the guy that's going to represent the United States all over the world, Mike Pompeo, is a brother in Christ. Trust me about this. He's also really sharp. He's intelligent. He's well-educated. He's articulate. He's just the kind of guy that we want to represent America, American values around the world. But the left, because of that, because his heart is wholly after the Lord, just as Asa's was, they're coming after him to try to keep him from being confirmed as the Secretary of State, just meeting with, I guess, the Prime Minister or whatever they call him of North Korea. I mean, there's an active conversation now about maybe that war. They've been at war technically since 1953. And here, the leaders of the South and North Koreans, because of Donald Trump's strength, they're coming together and talking about the possibility of ending the truce and declaring that the war is just over. So anyway, that's what peace through strength can accomplish. So anyway, we see that Asa is a guy you'd like to support, and Mike Pompeo is a guy that we're encouraging you to support for that very reason. Now, the number to call to help this ministry along as we continue to support godly people for public office is 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396. We are in a mystery challenge, so call that number again. It's 877-616-2396. We've got a room full of volunteers happy to process your pledge or your donation. Want to give a shout out to Patricia and Rick from Collierville, Tennessee, Thomas in Cedar Falls, Iowa, Rose in Raton, New Mexico, Diane in Albany, Georgia, Amber in Brio Bridge, Louisiana, Jerry in Odessa, Texas, Samantha in Aberdeen, South Dakota, Rusty in South Haven, Mississippi, Susan in Jenison, Michigan, and Gina in Parsons, Tennessee. And look at the range there of states that are covered by this voice. Tennessee, Iowa, New Mexico, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas, South Dakota, Mississippi, Michigan, and back to Tennessee. Again, another one from Tennessee. So you're getting a feel for the spread, the range of the voice of American Family Radio, and we want to make it possible to promote more people to public office who, as Asa did what was according to the word of the Lord. We'd like to have more politicians who can be described as those who, like Asa, did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. The heart of Asa was wholly true to the Lord all of his days. We'd like to see more men like that, more men like Mike Pompeo, more men like Mike Pence, more men like Ted Cruz, more men that are unapologetic about their faith in Christ to exercise leadership in the public arena. Number to call again is 877-616-2396. Now, you might have heard about the Southwest Airlines plane where, remember, the engine blew, shrapnel blew out a window, and it just about half sucked a woman out of the plane. They were able to pull her back in, but tragically she died in the hospital last night. But everybody has nothing but praise for the pilot who showed coolness under pressure. I listened to her conversation with the control tower this morning while I was waiting in the doctor's office. Got an update for you about that, by the way. And she was a cool customer. She was the essence of grace and poise under fire. Turns out also, by the way, that she is a strong believer in Christ. And one of the things that she said in the wake of all of this is one of the things that I love about being a pilot. She's also a Sunday school teacher along with her husband, who likewise is a pilot for Southwest. What she said is, almost every flight, I have the opportunity as a pilot to share the truth about Jesus Christ. That's what she loves about her job. She's meeting strangers, newcomers all the time, has opportunities because of her position with the airline to share the gospel with people. That's the woman who safely landed that plane after one of the engines blew completely up. They're saying it's metal fatigue. The engine itself apparently pretty sturdy, pretty dependable, pretty reliable machine. So apparently some metal fatigue is what jarred the thing loose. Well, let's listen to someone else who has been benefited from the ministry of the American Family Radio.
Hello, this is Karen. I live in Texas, and I want to share that I was a person who was aware of things that were going on, and I would pray, but I would think, what in the world can I do about any of this? And then I found AFR radio and began to hear real information and the way to take some action, little as it might be, from one person. And it has been such a blessing, plus, of course, the teaching ministries that are on. And so we listen to AFR just about all day, and we're so grateful for God having this available, and we share with many people always how to tune in to AFR radio because it's so educational and inspirational, and we just appreciate all that you guys are doing. Thank you.
And that number again, if you'd like to become a participant, we urge you to do it, especially maybe if you've never given before. Maybe this would be the opportunity to make your first donation to keep the voice of AFR on the air. Challenge you to do it. If you've benefited from this ministry, as the listener testimonies have, those who recorded those for us, this is an opportunity for you to become a participant, a part of our financial team. The number to call is 877-616-2396. 877-616-2396 is the number that you can call and make a pledge or make a donation, perhaps for the first time. Don't forget, we have just begun a mystery challenge. We do not know what the level of that challenge is, how big it is, but we're challenging you to get busy, dig into those wallets, pull out the checkbook, pull out the credit card, make a pledge, make a donation at 877-616-2396, so that when the amount of that mystery challenge is revealed, we can celebrate the fact that we rose to the challenge. Here's the article from Daily Wire. The headline, Heroic Female Pilot Flying Planes Gives Me the Opportunity, quote, to witness for Christ on almost every flight. Her name is Tammy Jo Schultz. She's the pilot that flew that plane into Philadelphia in the emergency deal. And one of the passengers said, look, after the plane had landed, the pilot, whom we know now as Tammy Jo Schultz, she greeted each passenger after they landed. So this passenger wrote, Tammy Jo Schultz, the pilot, came back to speak to each of us personally. This is a true American hero. A huge thank you for her knowledge, guidance, and bravery in a traumatic situation. God bless her and all the crew. Number to call to join our financial network, our financial support team. Give us a call right now. Make a pledge, make a donation. Let's meet that mystery challenge. The number is 877-616-2396. 877-616-2396. I've got a story here that I'm looking at. And when we come back after the break, I'm going to suggest that this story is a metaphor for what is happening in our country today, and it involves a freight train, and a lot of waste. We'll be back with the analogy when we get back.
American Family Studios producer Kendra White.
We wear a lot of hats, but I love getting to create content that goes places that I can't go. Like the things that we make go into prisons, they go into other countries, they go into churches, and it's resources and videos to inspire people, to equip them, and to help them. And as Christians, I think we need to be on the front line of using whatever technology God has given man to be able to point man to our Creator and that He loves us.
It's our national motto, In God We Trust. Call now at 877-616-2396 or give online at afr.net. Spring Share-a-thon 2018 continues on American Family Radio.
Bryan Ficher here. Welcome back to Focal Point American Family Radio. Glad to have you in the conversation. Spring Share-a-thon, our theme, In God We Trust. You know, and we have people all the time talking to us about needing a reliable source of information and news. Let me give you just a couple of examples. Just saw these this morning, just out of my stack from this morning. The founder of the Black Entertainment Television, he's the BET network. His name is Robert Johnson. He's America's first black billionaire. And remember, what is the meme about Donald Trump, President Trump? He is a racist. He is a white supremacist. Now, here is Robert Johnson, founder of BET Television, and he said, look, he said the Trump economy is helping blacks. I believe the economy is on a strong growth path, he said, and it's helping blacks. Now, who does not want the American people to know that? Well, it's the networks. It's the media on the left. And they finally reported on this 9 days after he said it. It took the Washington Post 9 days to get around to letting people know that the founder of the Black Entertainment Television Network is benefiting and is praising the Trump economy. Number to call, 877-616-2396. If you like a network that'll give you the straight news, unfiltered, raw, and in accordance, filtered, screened through the Word of God, you can help us with a pledge or a donation at 877-616-2396. Here's another example. You know, CNN just gets awash in these scandals. You know, and we talked about the issue of what was reported about Donald Trump, what he did in Moscow with the prostitutes in the hotel room. No substantiation, nothing to it, no support for it, no verification. And yet, here is CNN. In 5 days, they talked about that unverified accusation 77 times. In 5 days, they could not stop talking about it. It's a complete non-story, but they talk about it incessantly because they're out to try to smear Trump, to disqualify him, and eventually to get him out of office. So you can't count on a place like that that's going to be so imbalanced and so biased in their coverage. Well, let's listen to somebody else who is a fan of AFR and has benefited from it as perhaps you are. The number again to call, remember, Mystery Challenge, we're in the middle of it, 877-616-2396. Let's listen.
This show every day on my way to work is a true blessing. It's at the current time, it's my only form of church, but it keeps me in the Word. And I just wanted to thank you guys for just being there for people like me who don't always get the opportunity to go to church and be with fellowship. Thank you, and I love you for what you do.
That number is 877-616-2396. 877-616-2396. They had an article, you know, we talked about it last week, this article where this guy his thesis is that America is hopelessly divided. We're divided into two camps. And remember what Jesus said about a house that is divided against itself. What did he say about that kind of a house? It cannot stand. So what does that mean? That means if America continues to be a divided nation, this country is finished. You can take Jesus' word for that. Don't believe me. Jesus said a house divided against itself cannot stand. So that means this division that this writer was talking about, we're divided hopelessly into two separate camps. There's no common ground between these two camps. There's no bipartisan solution to this tension. And his statement was one side or the other has got to win. Either the conservatives, that's us, have got to win, or the liberals, that's him. He wants us squashed like a little tiny bug. Said one of these two camps, either the camp that I prefer, which is the regressive camp, has to win, or the conservatives, those that have a conservative worldview. They've got to win. I agree with them. So what that means is, ladies and gentlemen, we are locked into a civil war, a cultural civil war, and the stakes are so high, I have no hesitation telling you that this is a culture war that we have to win. If our country is going to have a future, we have to win this culture war. And you can help us fight that war by calling 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396. You know, just in the last week, we've seen this all-out attack on Mike Pompeo by Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey, pressing Mike Pompeo about his view of marriage. And Mike Pompeo said, look, Senator, I believe that marriage is a union of one man and one woman, and I still believe that. My view on that hasn't changed. Cory Booker kept boring in, trying to get him to retreat, to back down, to back away. Mike Pompeo did not do it. He stood firm in the evil day, despite Cory Booker pressing and pushing and pressing. And we also had another situation come up where a writer, I think for the New Yorker, wrote a scathing piece about Chick-fil-A coming to New York. You know why he had scathing criticism for Chick-fil-A? Because it's owned and run and managed by Christians. That's his problem with it. He hates Chick-fil-A because of the Christian influence. He wants that influence out of the city of New York. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want anybody in the city of New York acknowledging, honoring, recognizing God in any of the public institutions, whether it's education or whether it is the region of commerce. Doesn't want any acknowledgement of God whatsoever. So they want to try to run the Chick-fil-A's completely out of town. That's the kind of battle, that's the kind of fight that we are in. Number to call to help us stay in the fight and get in the fight yourself is 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396. Now, I told you I had a story in my stack that is a metaphor for what's going on in our culture right now. Let me just mention, by the way, I forgot to get to the rest of the passage I wanted to talk about. We're in 1 Kings chapter 17 and or 16 into 16 and on into 17. Remember, we read about Asa, who did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. Then we run into a guy by the name of Zimri, who brought to an end the kingdom of Baasha and Elah, and God brought them down through Zimri because of all the sins that they sinned and which they made Israel to sin. So again, it's a reminder of the impact that we can have as leaders in whatever sphere we're in. If we're in a leadership role, our example is going to be critically important to the people around us. Either we can model a lifestyle that draws them toward righteousness and draws them toward God, or we can live a life like Baasha and Elah that encourages people to imitate us in sin. So God used a guy by the name of Zimri to bring these guys down for judging Baasha and Elah. But then we find out about Omri, who replaced Zimri. His sins that he committed, he did evil in the sight of the Lord. He walked in the way of Jeroboam, and for his sin which he committed, making Israel to sin, he was taken down. And then Omri, we're told, did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and he did more evil than all who were before him. Omri did evil in the sight of the Lord more than all who were before him. His son Ahab, of Ahab and Jezebel fame, succeeds him. Ahab did even worse than Omri did. And one of the things it tells us is that evil is not static. Righteousness is not static, and evil is not static. It's acquisitive. It is ravenous. It's always seeking to consume more and more territory. It wants more and more of your soul. It wants more and more of your mind. It wants more and more of your life. It wants more and more of your marriage, more of your family. And so that's the push that we're experiencing. That's where the pull is. Satan wants to drive us to the left, drive us away from the Word of God. So that's the battle that we are involved in here. And we're going to see Elijah and his showdown with the prophets of Baal when we get into the next chapter. But anyway, that is the fight that is before us. And here's the analogy that I want to suggest. Here's the number to call to make a contribution, make a pledge or a donation to our Spring Share-a-thon, 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396. And maybe before we do this, Rob, do we have another listener testimony we can punch up? Let's listen.
This is Judy, and I'm calling from Indiana, and I appreciate the information I get from AFA regarding cultural, political issues, the sound bites I get from different programs, money education, and even the religious services that I'm hearing from different folks when I am able to listen to the radio. I feel like I am better educated and smarter because of the Trivia Friday also. But the information I've gotten has helped me be a better person, a better adult, and more responsible adult. And I'm thankful for you. I am truly thankful for you.
Focal Point, American Family Radio. Bryan Ficher is my name. Just heard that word of gratitude for AFR for what we meant to that woman. We mean something similar to you. Encourage you to make a pledge or make a donation right now. You can do so by calling 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396.
Yeah, and there was something that listener just mentioned about receiving that information, that she could take that into her workplace, to her family, to wherever she goes. That's an important part of what we do here at American Family Radio, and that is why it's important to get involved now, to go ahead and donate now, because that gives you all the rest of the year, besides these 6 days, that you can bring people the information without being interrupted or distracted by commercials that are trying to sell things. You can just concentrate just on the information, and that's what people are looking for.
Yeah. Now let me give you a story that illustrates, I think, what the left is trying to do to conservatives and to conservative states, because the real division, remember, is often along political lines. You know, these guys that say that we are hopelessly divided, somebody's got to win. You know what their ideal state is? What they're promoting as the place to be like? It's California.
Oh, wow.
They want the entire United States to turn in to California. You know, I read a story about San Francisco this morning. They've got people begging them to clean that place up. You know, we've talked about it before. Jeff tracked down that map of San Francisco of all of the piles of human waste. And they publish this for tourists so they'll know where not to walk, what streets they can't walk down, what to walk around, and all that kind of stuff. 1 out of every 5 people that's in poverty lives in the state of California. 1/3 of all the homeless people in America live in California. And they want us to become like California.
Thanks.
No thanks. That's exactly right. Now, here's the story. I'm not going to be able to finish it before the end of the break, but I want to just get you started, because this, I think, is a metaphor for what's going on in our politics. And trust me, if you're listening to me right now, you will use this metaphor sometime during this week. I about guarantee it. This is a story from Fox News. A stinking trainload of human waste from New York City is stranded in a tiny Alabama town, spreading a stench like a giant backed-up toilet, and the poop train is just the latest example of the South being used as a dumping ground for other states' waste. We'll come back and talk more about that. Focal Point, American Family Radio. Bryan Ficher will be right back.
M.D. Perkins, director of The God Who Speaks.
I really just wanted to put something in people's hands to give them the tools they need to be able to talk about the Bible with intelligence, with confidence. My job is very multifaceted with American Family Studios. I really get to see there's a diversity within American Family Association, and yet there's a singularity of focus and purpose. And I just love being a part of a ministry that is helping Christians to stand for truth wherever they find themselves.
Hi, this is Jamie from Louisiana. I'm a single mom.
raising a teen. And when those teen years hit, I was just feeling so defeated and discouraged that thankfully you have programs like Parenting Today's Teen that offered practical resources to put into my hands, that I wasn't being such a failure. Some of this was regular developmental actions that teens start coming into, and it just helped me understand things much better. You guys are always a source of light and hope, and I pray that you'll continue to be on those airways, strengthening families. God bless you, AFR.
It's how we run our ministry. In God we trust. Call now at 877-616-2396 or give online at afr.net. Spring Share-a-thon 2018 continues on American Family Radio.
Bryan Ficher here, American Family Radio. Program is Focal Point. Number to call to make a pledge, a donation, and take advantage of the Mystery Challenge. We don't yet know what it is, but it's on the table. Donor donating to AFR and challenging you to match their gift. We'll find out what that total is. So let's give what we can and see if we have matched the gift that's been given. Number to make a pledge, a donation, 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396. I want to give a shout out to Kay in Abilene, Kansas, Gloria in Mooreville, Mississippi, Timothy in Beaver, West Virginia, Joshua in Canyon, Texas, Dana and Lindy in Ponca City, Oklahoma, Doug in Delaware, Ohio, Patrice in Moline, Illinois, Vera in Kirkville, Texas, Vincent in Topeka, Kansas, and Chad in Medina, Tennessee, or Medina, Tennessee. I'm not sure how it's said, but thank you very much for your gift to keep this voice on the air, to keep this thing rolling. Glad to have you on board. Glad to have you in the listening audience, and thank you for your generosity.
Had a donor call in when I was on the phones this morning. She was 93 years old, still living on her own, and called in to support AFR because we bring a lot of light and sunshine into her home.
That's great. Fantastic. So imitate her example. Don't let some 93-year-old woman beat you in this effort. Now, I want to go back and finish the story about the New York City poop train. Number to call, by the way, is 877-616-2396. So this is a sludge. This is a train cars. I mean, I've seen a picture of it. Boxcar after boxcar after boxcar of human sludge. These are sludge hauling trains, and they're stuck in Alabama right next to the Little League fields there.
Yikes.
So they have to reschedule games to play somewhere else when the sun goes, when it gets hot. And late afternoon, it just gets hot out there. They can't even stand to play a Little League baseball game anywhere in the neighborhood. You know, this is a metaphor for what the left, what do they control? They control the Northeast. They control the West Coast. Who's in charge of California? Well, it's the left. Who's in charge of Oregon? It's the left. Who's in charge of the state of Washington? It's the left. Go to the New England states. Who's in charge of all that? It is the left. And what are they doing? They are dumping all of their sludge, their cultural sludge, their moral sludge, their toxic sludge. They produce it in their states, and they're shipping it to us. They want us to accept it and to receive their sludge. And, you know, I think what happened in Idaho, and you probably had some experience in this wherever you live, that when we lived in Idaho, you know, we had people from California moving to Idaho all the time. And they would tell us we just wanted to get out of California. We needed a better place to raise our kids. But often the people moving into our state had the same values that made California what it turned into as a toxic sludge producing factory. And they wanted to bring those values and transport them to Idaho. They did not realize that the values that they still embraced, it was those values that turned California into a place that they wanted to leave. They couldn't wait to get out of there. And so, you know, in Idaho, we always wanted to kind of drop a door behind the last one in and protect what we knew and loved and cared for in Idaho. And so it's been a constant rear guard battle. I worked in that arena for a number of years when I was in Idaho, trying to keep out that toxic sludge, stop it from coming in and penetrating and permeating our culture. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to protect this land from being overrun with this toxic sludge that come from regressives. We'd like to reclaim the state of California. We haven't given up on reclaiming the state of California or Oregon or Washington or New Jersey or New York or New England. We want to get those states back. But in the meantime, not only want to seek to reclaim those states, we also want to protect the states that haven't yet embraced and drunk the Kool-Aid. Number to call to help us do that, 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396. Give us a call, make a pledge, make a donation. One-time gift of $150 or more. We'll send you 5 decals, 5 bookmarks, 5 buttons, all emblazoned in big bold letters with the phrase, "In God We Trust." If you can send us, commit to $30 a month or more in monthly pledges, we will send you not only the 5 decals, the 5 bookmarks, the 5 buttons, we will also send you an "In God We Trust" t-shirt. Love to have you have one of those and wear it proudly in your neighborhood. Well, let's listen to another listener testimony from someone who's benefited, as maybe you are right now, from the ministry of American Family Radio.
AFR has affected my life in a big way. It was a real blessing to be a part of Samaritan's Purse this year. Kind of embarrassing to be almost 60 years old and never really have known much about that, but y'all enlightened me about that. Then recently, 8 Days of Hope, I got to participate in my first one of those because of hearing about it on y'all's thing. I'm amazed that it was the largest mission effort ever in the world, and so many of my Christian friends even have never heard of 8 Days of Hope. So thank you for that, the good things that you tell us about. Also, thank you for your news is you go deeper into the whys and the behind-the-scenes stuff rather than just the immediate thing that everybody talks about on the news. I appreciate y'all very much.
Spring Share-a-thon here on Focal Point. Bryan Ficher is my name. By the way, that article I was reading from about this train of toxic sludge, that phrase "poop train," quote, end quote, that's what the article calls it. I'm just reading what the article said there. That's from Fox News.
We could use dung. That's biblical.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So their phrase is the phrase that they use, and I just picked up just quoting that article. Number to call to make a pledge, make a donation is 877-616-2396. Give us a call, make a donation, make a pledge at 877-616-2396. I want to thank Carl in Fredericksburg, Philip in Ironton, Ohio, Michael in Jacksonville, North Carolina, John in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Laura in Paris, Tennessee, John in Fulton, Mississippi, Sarah in Northport, Alabama, for your generous gift to our Spring Share-a-thon. You want to imitate their example, the number to call is 877-616-2396. It's a number you can call to make a pledge, to make a donation. You know, in a couple of stories to talk about themes that American Family Association is concerned about that we have dealt with. Number one is a story from an elementary school in Maryland where 7 students in this elementary school used razor blades to cut their wrists, to cut their arms. This is in Prince George's County. And they got the razor blades from the pencil sharpeners that they had in the classrooms. Now, these are elementary school students. Where do you think they got this idea to cut themselves, to cut their wrists? Well, there's a possibility. The article does not say. This is CBS, Associated Press. But remember, we talked about this series on Netflix, 13 Reasons Why. Now, how does that series, it's 13 episodes, how does that series end? With a graphic incident where a young girl commits suicide by getting in a warm bath and cutting her wrists. So who knows? Maybe these elementary school students either saw that program or their older brothers or sisters talked to them about it, or they heard other people in their class talking, and they got kind of fascinated with the idea, so they thought they would try it. Now, fortunately, none of these kids were seriously hurt. But what happens if you have a child same age trying that stunt at home? They could wind up dead by the time anybody gets hold of them. And that's why we've urged you to sign a petition to Netflix to put a disclaimer. Well, we want them to pull season 1 down. And remember, they've got season 2 is getting ready to go live any time now. I think April 18 was the original target date. I don't know if they're going to release it today or not. But even their own psychological consultant recommended against releasing season 2. He recommended against releasing season 1. And now the guy that they pay to consult with them said, look, this material is too mature for these audiences. They're not going to have the wisdom, the maturity, the experience to be able to process it. And so maybe these kids are a victim of that very thing. Number to call for a pledge or a donation as we help to fight companies like Netflix to try to purify the stream of what comes into America, halt the flow of that toxic sludge that comes from the centers of liberalism. The number to call to make a pledge, make a donation is 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396.
Just to add, I just came across an article in USA Today to add to more of California's sludge. They actually have 8 out of the top 10 most polluted cities in the United States.
And they want all of America to become California.
Yeah.
So we talked about the homelessness. They've got more homeless people than any place in America. Now we find that 8 of the top 10 polluted cities in America are in California. They have more illegal aliens in California than any other state in the union. Their workforce is the least educated in all of the country. In fact, this is an interesting, it's all due to illegal immigration, by the way, which is one of the reasons why we have steadfastly resisted that here on AFR. You've heard me talk frequently about the need for border security, a border wall. I supported Donald Trump's travel ban, the Muslim travel ban, because of the threat of Islamic Jihad, because we don't know who's coming into this country and what kind of energy they may bring in, because there's virtually no vetting being done for these people, and yet they can come in and create tremendous havoc in this land. And so that's one of the reasons why we resist this flood of illegal immigration into our culture. We read stories all the time about what happens when illegal aliens who have committed crimes, and we just had Neil Gorsuch, we'll talk about this in the second hour, you might have heard about this. He joined the liberals on the Supreme Court to say that criminals who have committed aliens who have committed crimes, aliens who have committed crimes cannot be deported. I'll explain that when we get back. But that's Neil Gorsuch going all Ruth Bader Ginsburg on us. And so we'll talk about that and why it was a wrong-headed ruling. But that's why we support the efforts to bring some kind of control and sanity to our immigration policies. Number to call to make a pledge or a donation is 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396. Call now. Operators are standing by. I wanted to say that all week.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
AFR is here for you and your family. If you have ideas about how we can serve you better, please let us know, especially if there are community issues you'd like for us to address. You can email your comments to afr@afa.net. That's afr@afa.net. Thanks for listening, thanks for writing, and thanks for supporting the ministry you know as AFR.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio, a ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Steve Pugh. The U.S. Air Force says it's bombing more targets in Afghanistan than in Iraq and Syria. Lucas Tomlinson explains what this means for the war on terror from the Pentagon.
A new Air Force strike report says for the first time, U.S. aircraft dropped more bombs in Afghanistan than against ISIS in Iraq and Syria. In March, U.S. jets and drones fired roughly 350 munitions against the Taliban and an ISIS affiliate in Afghanistan, compared to about 300 bombs against the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. A sign the ISIS war is drawing to a close in Syria and Iraq, as the terrorist group no longer controls significant territory and has gone underground. The number of bombs dropped against ISIS last month was the fewest recorded since airstrikes began in August 2014. At the Pentagon, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
A passenger recounts the harrowing moments as a Southwest Airlines flight blows an engine, killing a passenger, before it's diverted to Philadelphia. Gurnell Scott with that story.
As the airline and federal investigators search for why the engine failed, passenger Joe Marcus on Fox's The Story with Martha McCallum remembers that in the midst of the chaos,
I was just trying to, keep everyone calm in my section and just really, just listen to the instructions.
Marcus said others were focused on the badly injured passenger.
There was a few people kind of trying to attend there to the person.
Marcus complimented the 5-person crew for their actions in the face of tragedy. He says when the plane finally landed in Philly, he felt like he hit the lottery. Gurnell Scott, Fox News.
Are Americans sticking by Obamacare? The editorial board of a major newspaper believes so, and others not so much.
While acknowledging that enrollment is down from a 2016 peak, the Washington Post editorial board says 11.8 million people did sign up for coverage this year, and that's despite slashed funding for advertising and an open enrollment period that was shortened by half. The Washington Post goes on to say that most people on the Obamacare exchanges receive federal subsidies to help offset the cost of health insurance, and the average subsidized premium is only $89 a month. Hadley Heath Manning of the Independent Women's Forum does not think Americans are sticking by Obamacare.
Some people have left the so-called Affordable Care Act exchanges, and they've gone to find healthcare sharing ministries. They've gone to find direct primary care practices where they can pay directly for the health care they consume. And so these are other avenues that people are taking. Really, the enrollment figures under the Affordable Care Act have never lived up to the initial expectations. So I don't think it's a fair assertion to say that Americans are excited about it.
As for the $89 a month plans, Manning says the chances of finding a doctor are slim.
We know that the Affordable Care Act plans don't come with as robust network coverage. They aren't accepted by as many providers. And I would say, the majority of people who have new insurance coverage because of the Affordable Care Act were actually enrolled through Medicaid rather than through one of the private plans at $89 a month.
Regardless, Manning points out that people were told to enroll or face a tax penalty for going without health coverage of some sort. I'm Chris Woodward.
Former First Lady Barbara Bush is being remembered today following her death. Tanya J. Powers has more.
Tributes are coming in from around the world for former First Lady Barbara Bush, who passed away yesterday at age 92. She's being remembered as plain-spoken, compassionate, and funny. Author and First Lady's expert Andrew Oak says her greatest legacy may be that of the role of Bush family matriarch.
When times are tough and when the chips are down, she's the one that stands up and says, okay, come on, let's go.
Mrs. Bush will lie in repose Friday at St. Martin's Episcopal Church in Houston for members of the public who want to pay respects. The funeral, which is invitation only, is planned for Saturday. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
And finally, procrastinators have an extra day to file their taxes.
The IRS is giving taxpayers a one-day extension after the agency's direct pay website crashed yesterday. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin described the problem as a high-volume technical issue. The IRS has apologized for the inconvenience to taxpayers and says the crash is not believed to be a cyber attack. In Washington, Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
This is Doug from Ohio. Our church has a group called The True View, and we use the American Family Radio as a resource because we relate the current events to the Judeo-Christian values and our Constitution, which are expressed freely by the American Family Radio people. We love it. Have a good day.
It's Spring Share-a-thon 2018 on American Family Radio. In God we trust.
Some trust in chariots, and some trust in horses. But we trust in the name of the Lord our God.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight.
In you, Lord my God, I put my trust.
It's Spring Share-a-thon on American Family Radio. Call 877-616-2396. That's 877-616-2396. Or visit afr.net. In God we trust. It's Spring Share-a-thon on American Family Radio.
Bryan Ficher, Program Focal Point Network, American Family Radio. Glad to have you back for the second hour of our Spring Share-a-thon. Our theme is In God We Trust, and in God we trust as individuals, in God we trust as an organization, in God we trust as a nation. You know, George Washington, founder of our country, said that of all the habits and dispositions that make for political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. In vain would that man claim the tribute of patriotism who would labor to subvert these two great pillars of human happiness. This country was founded on religion and morality. By religion, George Washington meant Christianity. By morality, he meant the Ten Commandments. I want to encourage you to participate in our Spring Share-a-thon. 877-616-2396 is the number to call to make a pledge or make a donation to our Spring Share-a-thon. In God We Trust. 877-616-2396.
And Bryan, I just want to interrupt here to make note of April 18th. It marks two special days. One is the 70th birthday of Israel, and the other is this is the anniversary of Paul Revere's famous ride.
Ah, yes.
In 1775.
Yeah, that was, I've got a whole book on that ride. It's just an absolutely great story. There's a story out of that book. I told it last week about the regulars going after the cannons in the little town of Salem.
Yeah.
That was from that book, Paul Revere's ride. Fascinating story. You know, it's interesting. Paul Revere was out on that ride because the British regulars were looking for Sam Adams and John Hancock. They wanted to take him into custody as traitors. And you know where he was staying? They were staying, the two of them, John Adams and Alexander Hamilton. Did I say Alexander Hamilton? Yeah, I think it was John Adams and Alexander Hamilton. I forgot. I think I said somebody else first. But they were staying at the home of a preacher in Lexington. So the preachers in America back in 1775 were all about standing for the cause of liberty. You had pastors even opening their homes for statesmen who were on the run from the British military because of their pursuit of liberty. A number to call, 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396. Don't forget, we are in the middle of a mystery challenge. Don't know how much is in it. That's why you need to keep giving until we get the total. Find out how we did. 877-616-2396. Just a reminder to reset here at the top of the hour. A one-time gift or pledge of $150. That will get you a gift from us, a premium of 5 decals with In God We Trust on them, 5 bookmarks with In God We Trust on them, and 5 buttons that you can wear that say In God We Trust. For a monthly pledge of $30 a month or more, we will send you not only the 5 decals, the 5 bookmarks, and the 5 buttons. We'll also send you an In God We Trust t-shirt that you can wear. Proudly declare your faith in God everywhere you go. Number to call is 877-616-2396. You know, I saw a survey this morning, speaking of California. You got San Diego County, the whole county is trying to get out of the sanctuary state law that the state legislature passed and try to force down their throat. The California state legislature said, we are so opposed to immigration and remember, God is not opposed to borders. Borders are God's idea. You know, the Bible even tells us in Acts 16 that borders are God's idea. He appointed the places where we live and our borders. That's from God. So borders are not man's idea, they're God's idea. And remember that Moses, taking the people of Israel through the desert, gets up to the border with Edom and says, I'd like to go through your country. We'll pay you for everything. We don't want to eat anything that we don't pay for. And they said, heck no, you're not coming across our border. And so Moses didn't say, well, we're coming in anyway. He didn't get all huffy and puffy and threaten. He left and went around the country of Edom because he respected national sovereignty. He respected borders. He wasn't going to illegally trespass on somebody else's sovereign property. So borders are God's idea. Immigration control is God's idea, just fine with him. And Californians agree. 59% of Californians, this is a survey released by the UC Berkeley Haas Institute for a Fair and Inclusive Society. 59% of Californians find it important to increase deportations of those that are here without documentation, meaning, of course, illegal aliens. So, well, let's grab a listener testimony from someone who's benefited from AFR. And if you agree with this listener, make a pledge or a donation. Rob?
Yeah, this listener is a friend of mine that I ran into a few months ago, and he was bragging on listening to Focal Point and the other shows on AFR. He's a daily listener. He listens to us all the time. And let's hear Dale speak on this.
My name is Dale. I'm from Buttville, Mississippi. I'm a mailman, and I listen to the AFR station every day of my life on the mail route. It has just affected me in such a positive way. I tell people all the time, my mail route's 107 miles long, and it can be kind of boring at sometimes. But I go to church every day by listening to AFR, and I get filled with the Spirit. And it comforts me to be out here in a rural area by myself. But I tell people all the time, I said I'm with God in my radio and AFR, and it's so uplifting and positive, and it fills me with the Spirit. And I'm so glad you guys are on the radio, and I hope it never goes away. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you, Dale. And Dale said, look, I hope this voice never goes away. Well, you can help make that possible with a generous pledge, a generous donation right now by calling 877-616-2396. You can make a donation, a gift, a pledge that will help keep this message on the air. So to keep Dale happy, it doesn't go away ever. So we're counting on you for that in this spring share-a-thon. The number again is 877-616-2396. You know, looking at some other polling data, the Democratic pollsters, they're trying to figure out a message to use against the Republicans in the fall. They can't come up with one. They can't find one because none of the stuff that they're trying is working. They just did some big giant poll, and they discovered that nobody cares about how much time Donald Trump spends golfing. People, Democrats, don't even care about that. So that message isn't going to work. Accusing Trump of being lazy or always playing golf, nobody cares about that, and yet they have not come up with an alternative message to try to dent the Republican advantage in the fall. So we are in the middle of our fall share-a-thon, our spring share-a-thon rather. In God we trust. The number to call to make a pledge or a donation is 877-616-2396. You know, there are stories every once in a while that remind us of what we're about. You know, I was talking earlier about the fact that a house divided against itself cannot stand. Abraham Lincoln said that. I've got an article from Christianity Today, I'll finish it on the other side of the break, that says, in the face of moral crisis, churches can't choose neutrality. In the face of moral crisis, churches can't choose neutrality. And this is an article about the antebellum and Civil War era in America along the border between the South and the North. You got churches on both sides of the border, some in the North, some in the South, and this article talks about what happened when they tried to stay neutral on the issue of slavery. We'll find out when we come back. Focal Point, American Family Radio.
Rusty Pugh, anchor for American Family News.
They actually pay me to do what I love to do. And people also ask me, how do you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, it's because I love what I do. we have the opportunity to give people a side of the story that they may not hear, because we come at this with a Christian worldview. And it's not just I'm telling them about a plane crash in Iowa or a flood in California. It's the issues that we deal with that matter to Christians. And that's why I love it so much.
Yes, my name's Chris from Indiana, and one of the things that I can say is that AFR's programming has provided me with an inspiration to get closer in my walk with God. And many of the programs that I listen to have resources that they offer, and I've taken advantage of some of that and shared it with my wife as well. And she now has in turn started her walk closer to God again too. So I'm really blessed to have you guys in our lives and keeping us informed, whether it's Bryan Ficher or David Jeremiah or Focus on the Family, you know, all of the different things that are out there that you guys provide. We are truly blessed to have you, and I wish you a success in this next drive.
It's how we live. In God we trust. Call now at 877-616-2396 or give online at afr.net. Spring Share-a-thon 2018 continues on American Family Radio.
Welcome back. Bryan Ficher here. Program Focal Point, the network American Family Radio. Spring Share-a-thon, In God We Trust, is our theme. And the number that you can call to make a pledge or make a donation, which we urge you to do, and meet that mystery challenge that's on the table, the number is 877-616-2396. 877-616-2396. And what you were listening to, ladies and gentlemen, is a masterful display of self-control. Jim Stanley dangling a whole tray of desserts in front of me. Whoa. Yeah. Don't pull that thing away from me. Yeah.
So much for self-control.
Okay. I give up. The number is 877-616-2396. Jim Stanley bringing a whole bunch of baked goodies in here. And Jim's the one that's always after me to say the number every 2 minutes. Jim, this is just for you. 877-616-2396. That's the number to call to make a pledge or a donation to our Spring Share-a-thon. And again, as Jim Stanley exits the room, 877-616-2396.
I'm so full from lunch, I couldn't even take. I wanted something, but I can't take.
I'm gonna save those for later.
The next time you hear that number, it'll be while chewing a brownie. It looks like.
Yeah. But again, I want to finish the story because I think this is illustrative. Because you know we are in the middle of a moral crisis right now as a nation, are we not? You know we are faced with these binary choices. That's why we're at war. You were either for abortion or you were for life. There is simply no middle ground on that issue. You are either for marriage as God defines it, or you are not. You are either for what the Bible teaches, that there are just two genders, or you can believe, like Facebook does, that there are 58 genders, and you can change it every day if you want. You know, Jeff was telling us yesterday about the woman that won the Boston Marathon, had 5 guys running in that race, and she outran them all. Got a story here in the stack somewhere about a woman, well, he's a man who believes he's a woman, and he complained when he was arrested. And by the way, if you commit a crime, I mean, she had resisted arrest, and she was guilty of some kind of public disruption or something, or he was. I get mixed up myself. But he was disrupting the public, claiming he was a woman and all that. But, you know, if you disrupt the public, resist a police officer, you give up the right to decide what end of the prison you want to get housed in. But anyway, he was housed in the male end of the prison. Why? Because he's a male. And that's where they put him. And he's claiming, no, I am a woman trapped inside a male body. I need to be in the women's half of the prison. And she created such a stink, and the police force retreated so rapidly that they put him where he wanted to be. You see how confusing this thing gets?
Yeah, it might be Z or Zer.
Z or Zer or
yeah, so
or
who knows?
Yo.
Who knows?
Or Yo.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, That's what's going on out there. And you know, it's a binary choice. You either believe that kind of stuff has some validity, or you believe that there are just two genders, male and female, defined at the moment of conception and confirmed at the moment of birth. Everybody's either a male or a female. And they're just these two polar opposite points of view. And the point this writer was making, you can't reconcile these points of view. There isn't any common ground. There's no bipartisan solution to this. Somebody's got to win. Either the people that believe in natural marriage are going to win, or the people that believe in sodomy-based marriage are going to win. There's no alternative. Somebody's got to win, because a house divided against itself cannot stand. Either the people that believe that homosexuality is a sin are going to win, or the people that believe that homosexuality is a benign alternative lifestyle, they're going to win. Somebody's going to win, and that means the other side is going to lose. And that's why the stakes are about as high as they can be. Now, this article about what happened along the border between the North and the South, number, by the way, is 877-616-2396. In fact, pick up the phone and get ready to dial this number while I'll give it to you. I'll read it out to you slowly, so it'll be easy to keep up with me as you punch it in. Number to call to make a pledge or a donation is 877-616-2396. Now, here's what happened. You had these churches right along the border, and they tried to be neutral. They tried to avoid taking a position on the issue of slavery. And you know what one of the ways they did it? They said, look, the church ought to just focus on spiritual matters and shouldn't try to weigh in on political debates. You ever hear that today? Mm-hmm. Church ought to just stay out of politics, just avoid it, and stay out of political matters and just focus on the gospel, focus on the kingdom. A lot of people say that today who want to just stay out of the whole deal. But what happened to these churches that tried to stay neutral? They discovered that they couldn't. And when they tried to stay neutral, tried to avoid taking a position on the issue of slavery, and again, there were two positions. You know, you're either for slavery or you're for abolition. Those were the only two choices in the 1860s. And the churches that tried to deny that, there were only two positions, you know where they wound up? They wound up in the pro-slavery camp, because they discovered there wasn't any neutral ground. You have to take a stance. You've got to make a choice. You've got to take a position on that issue. But because they wouldn't, they didn't have the spine, they didn't have the courage, they didn't have the will to take a stand against slavery, they got shoved into the pro-slavery camp. Now, the same thing we see happening all the time in churches around us today. Churches try to kind of straddle the issue of homosexuality, try to stay out of it. They try to take a neutral position. But the longer they try to do that, the more vulnerable they become to getting shoved and pushed into the pro-homosexual camp. And that's the issue that we are fighting. We want to encourage churches to realize, no, there is no neutral ground on the issue of homosexuality. There is no neutral ground on the issue of marriage. There is no neutral ground on the issue of abortion. You're either for life or you're for abortion. You're either for natural marriage or you're for sodomy-based marriage. There aren't any alternatives. And that's the fight that we're fighting. We're enlisting you to participate with us in that culture war. The number is 877-616-2396 for a pledge or a donation. Again, grab your phone. We're going to go to a listener testimony right now, so grab your phone and punch in this number while I give it to you, 877-616-2396. Let's listen.
This is Trucker Dave, and today I'm in Ohio. AFR has become a part of my family in a way, because in the truck, AFR is there. When I can pick up their signal, I get a chance to hear the AFR programming, and I enjoy AFR talk. It's like a friend riding in the truck with me, and I get a lot of great Bible teaching out of it. I'd like to urge my fellow travelers out here, whether you're a truck driver or if you're in a four-wheeler, traveling the highways and byways of America, to help support American Family Radio. And we'll talk to you later, further on down the road.
Trucker Dave, urging you to call this number, 877-616-2396, and make a pledge or a donation. I want to thank Cezanne in Minneapolis, Beverly in Mechanicsville, Virginia, Sandra in Burgaw, North Carolina, Donna in Bucyrus, Ohio, Donna in Wilmington, North Carolina, Kenneth in Centerton, Arkansas, Teresa in Shepherd, Texas, Helen in Seaboard, North Carolina, Breck in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and Roger in Wilmer, Alabama.
You know, we have a lot of listeners like Trucker Dave. I can remember years ago him doing testimonies, and he's still with us. What we want is to have new listeners to come alongside and donate to us and help keep us on the air. We've got Trucker Dave's going to be there. We need somebody to hear Trucker Dave and what he's got from AFR and how he feels about AFR. We need some of you that are just walking that line and saying, well, I don't know about sending money over there, to AFR. But hey, you're listening to us. You're receiving something. Help us out. We need your money to keep our signal on the air and to keep Jesus out in front in this lost and dying world.
And you think about, we heard from Trucker Dave. We heard earlier from a guy, Dale, who's got a rural postal route. He's in the car. It was 175 miles that he drives. And so he needs a companion in the car. And that's one of the beauties about talk radio, or about radio in general. It's about the most intimate form of mass media communication that there is, because it's you and the driver and the passenger in the car. That's it. And so it becomes it's easy to get connected to this disembodied voice. You feel the connection there because he's right there talking in your ear, having a conversation. And so we want you, if you have one of those jobs, we hear from people that are traveling salesmen all the time. I hear from them all the time that benefit. They enjoy listening to the program while they are driving around. We hear from moms who are picking their kids up in the afternoon at school. We hear from them. So a lot of other mothers out there, a lot of other businessmen out there, a lot of other salesmen with rural roots that require a lot of travel. They need to hear the voice of AFR. They can do it while they're on the job and on the go. Give us a call and make a pledge, a contribution at 877-616-2396.
This might be a good time to mention our phone app as well, because a lot of these people, truck drivers, a lot of cars nowadays are their stereos are included with the auxiliary jack. You can play that AFR signal all the way through and not lose signal or have to search for a new. Sometimes we'll change frequencies depending on where you're at. That phone app comes in real handy on these kind of trips.
Yeah, and I use that the AFR app. You can get it by just going to the App Store and download the app to your phone, and it just connects instantly. The sound is nice and solid and clear. So way you can keep the signal, doesn't fade because you're connected.
And once driverless cars come around, we're going to go ahead and stream the YouTube live straight into their cars so you can just sit back and watch.
Well, what we'll start doing then, if you get driverless cars, is Jeff and I and Rob, we'll start doing some kind of Temptations kind of dance moves. Yeah. And you can practice right there in your driverless car.
We just lost viewers there.
Turn the seats around, face each other, and you can look at us, and
we want to keep people listening.
Practice some moves.
Yeah, I got a text from Dale. He's got all his buddies are calling him, and he's got a bunch of people listening to us. He said, "We love you, big guy."
All right.
So talking to you, Bryan.
Great, Dave. It's great for Dale, the postman. Just got an oh no from the executive producer on the whole idea of doing the Temptation. Yeah, she didn't care for that much. Anyway, here's a good news story for today. Turns out he wasn't smarter than the average bear. A curious bear ended up needing help from police in Colorado after breaking into a vehicle and locking himself inside.
Oh, man.
So the cops had to go fish him out of the car. Nice try, bear. Didn't get away with
Leslie Wildman, Director of AFA Outreach.
All Christians got a set of spiritual gifts, and I believe with the spiritual gifts that I have, together with my skills, I think I'm best fit as a Director of Outreach and building relationships with our supporters. any type of financial gift that they give to a ministry, I mean, that's money out of their pocket. They're giving away voluntarily, and the very least we can do is let them know that we appreciate that, and then be very good stewards with it.
Some trust in chariots, some trust in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. Call now at 877-616-2396 or give online at afr.net. Spring Share-a-thon 2018 continues on American Family Radio.
Welcome back to Spring Share-a-thon. Number to call to make a pledge or a donation is 877-616-2396. That's the number to call with a pledge or a donation, 877-616-2396. You know, one of the myths that we address here at Focal Point every day is the myth that regressives or liberals are the compassionate people in our culture. And I beg to differ with people who say that. I mean, liberals, regressives, they fancy themselves, they label themselves as the compassionate ones, but they're not. They've got no room in their world. They've got no room in their lives for us. They say they're all about diversity or inclusivity unless we're part of that diversity or unless we would like to be included. Then there's absolutely no room at the end for them. Now, here's an example of that. This is an author and English professor at Fresno State. Fresno is where my folks lived for a lot of years. I went to junior high and high school there. My folks lived there for a number of years. She mocked the death of former First Lady Barbara Bush. As you're aware, she died yesterday, and she celebrated Barbara Bush's death on Twitter on Tuesday night. Quote, Barbara Bush was a generous and smart and amazing racist who, along with her husband, raised a war criminal. Then she used the F word and told Barbara Bush to get out of here with your nice words. And she said, look, nobody can do anything to me. I can say anything I want because I am a tenured professor. The university, they can't touch me. And you wonder how somebody with this attitude and this mindset got to be tenured in the first place. But so she's just teeing off, and she got responses, blowback on Twitter. She said, all the hate I'm getting almost made me forget how happy I am that George W. Bush is probably really sad right now. And I'm using exclamation points to dance happily on the grave of someone I despise. Yikes. And then she says, I work as a tenured professor. I make $100K a year doing that. I will never be fired. I will always have people wanting to hear what I have to say. Well, I think I've heard about all I need to hear from her. So the university apparently has taken some kind of action, maybe some kind of suspension or something like that.
She'll get paid for it, probably.
Yeah, I guess they had to go back and fish that out of the Wayback Machine to get her tweets and posts and stuff like that. But anyway, here's somebody who would fancy themselves a paragon of tolerance and liberalism and all that kind of stuff, and she's just a hateful person. Yeah,
can I contrast that with something that somebody wrote on your YouTube page, your YouTube channel?
Yeah, sure.
Again, you know, says he's a daily listener. He doesn't agree with half of what is said, but is a great benefit to a person to listen to many sides to see which one stack up and which ones don't. I'm a strong proponent of free speech of any kind. He listens on the AFR app because he doesn't have an AFR station in South Dakota. So that's kind of the contrast between the unhinged left and maybe some of the left that are actually tuning into your program. They tend to be a little more, like America used to be. You know, there used to be Democrats and Republicans that disagreed about a lot of things, but they still loved America when it come down to it. And that's the kind of discussions we love to have.
Yeah, and we love to receive phone calls from folks that listen to us because we're on the other side of the equation from them, or they're looking to get more information, or they're kind of testing the conservative waters. We love to get phone calls. I love to get adversarial phone calls from people that just flat out disagree with me. Love to have an exchange with them. Always going to try to be civil. I may be direct and I may be firm, and I may want to move the conversation along, but I'm going to try to be civil all the while we talk.
Those have been some memorable phone calls.
Yeah,
You know what? Our listeners really enjoy that too.
Yeah. Had a memorable one about the bear. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
we went around on that one. Anyway, the number to call if you would like to be a part of our Spring Share-a-thon, and I hope you will, 877-616-2396. Again, that number. Pull out your phone. We're going to take a listener testimony. So a good time while we're setting up for the listener testimony, good time to pull out your phone and a good time to punch these numbers in and make a call, make a pledge or a donation. You can also do it online at afr.net. Here's the number. Open up your phone. Punch it in, 877-616-2396. 877-616-2396. Let's listen to a listener testimony.
Hi, my name is Mark, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. And I just wanted to share that I came to this country a long time ago, but I didn't become a citizen until 2 years ago. I was a resident alien. So I can vote now, and AFA has really helped me to be engaged with the culture and how to pray for the culture, how to pray for this country, and also how to vote for elected officials that are going to make an impact. So thank you for keeping us informed and for being a light in the darkness.
Welcome back to Spring Share-a-thon. Number to call to make a pledge, a donation in response to what you heard from that listener, 877-616-2396. 877-616-2396. One of the issues very important to us here at American Family Association is religious liberty. We've got a story about a pastor by the name of Andrew Brunson. Keep this man and his family in your prayers. He's 50 years old. He is now in prison in Turkey. He's been there since 1973 ministering to the Turkish people. Even started a church around 2010, and now the Turkish government is moving in there with false accusations, tearing all the work down that he's done there. He's in prison, and he may never see his family or America again. He spent 2 decades pastoring in a church in Izmir, but now he's been accused of spying, conspiracy, and terrorism. He's lost 50 pounds and close to losing hope. We're going to pray for him here in just a second. He missed his daughter's wedding. He missed another daughter's graduation. Now, we've had 78 members of Congress who have personally called for his release from prison. And local authorities have not been able to produce a scrap of evidence that connects Andrew Brunson to a terrorist organization of any kind, and yet he's still looking at 35 years in a Turkish jail. And he denies it all, and I absolutely believe him. He says, I don't accept any of the allegations. I did not engage in any illegal activity. I had no relations with anyone engaged in such activity. I am a Christian pastor. I did not join an Islamic movement. Their aims and mine are different. Now, here's a sign of what elections can mean in terms of elections have consequences, is the ambassador at large for religious freedom appointed by Donald Trump, confirmed by the Senate, is Sam Brownback, former governor of Kansas, and he actually flew to Turkey to be in the courtroom when the charges were brought against Andrew Brunson earlier this week. Also there was Senator Tom Tillis from North Carolina. They flew to Turkey to attend the trial, to let the Turkish authorities know, look, here are a couple of lawmakers in the United States that care very deeply about this man's religious liberty and about his freedom, and are going to be here to keep an eye on what we do. Number to call to make a pledge, a donation, 877-616-2396. 877-616-2396. Now, the terrorist he's supposed to hang out with is this Muslim preacher by the name of Fethullah Gulen. Has a whole series of schools that he started around America, but no hint that Brunson has any connection to this guy. The Turkish authorities are upset with this Gulen fella because they think he's launched some kind of coup d'etat against the regime, which if he has, Andrew Brunson's got absolutely nothing to do with that. This is one of the reasons why it would be great to have Mike Pompeo, for instance, as the Secretary of State. Remember, he's the one that's going to represent America to the world, including to Turkey. So Mike Pompeo, if he's confirmed, would be the guy that would go toe-to-toe with whoever over there is his counterpart in Turkey to press for the release of Andrew Brunson. And he would, because he is a committed Christian. You know, the people that have been in this role before, if they had any spiritual convictions at all, it was hard to identify, discern what they were. Mike Pompeo, unapologetic in his faith, he would go to bat for a guy like Andrew Gulen. You can make bank on that. You know, so we're seeing this increasing hostility against Christians. We saw it against Mike Pompeo being grilled about his views on homosexuality, same-sex marriage. Russell Vought was grilled. Amy Barrett was grilled as they sought positions in the government. Amy Barrett to be appointed to the bench. She was grilled mercilessly about her Catholic faith, and the effort was made in the Judiciary Committee to disqualify her from that position because she was a follower of the Roman Catholic faith. And remember, all these people back in the day when the same-sex marriage issue was being fought, they tried to convince us that if we would just accept same-sex marriage, this display of tolerance, it would just make the world a more tolerant place for everybody. Well, it hasn't happened, has it? We've had gay bakers being driven to bankruptcy, other gay bakers in danger of going, other Christian bakers driven to bankruptcy, other Christian bakers in danger of being sent to jail. Still waiting to hear from the Supreme Court about Jack Phillips' case from Colorado. So we'll see what happens with Mike Pompeo. More Democrats coming out against him, even though a dozen Democrats voted for him when he was being confirmed for the CIA director. Number to call to make a donation, make a pledge to help us keep fighting the good fight for religious liberty is 877-616-2396. That number again is 877-616-2396. Let's listen to another listener satisfied with what they have gotten from AFR.
My name is Vicki, and I live in Jackson, Mississippi. American Family Radio means everything to me. I can't imagine not having it. I listen to several of your programs. I listen to Bryan Ficher, and I really enjoy and learn a lot from Alex and Bert on Exploring the Word. They have a very special combination of knowledge, insight, compassion, devotion to God and His Word. And it's been a gift to me this year to listen to them. I lost my husband this last year, and I have suffered such grief. But by accident one day, while waiting to pick up my grandson at school, I listened to them, and I've been a listener ever since to them. My grandson, who is 11 years old, listens to them in the car going home from school, and you would be amazed at the questions he asks, and he's learned so much. And I appreciate your whole program, and I thank you.
Spring Share-a-thon, In God We Trust, is our motto. That's our motto as an organization. It's our motto for Spring Share-a-thon. It is our motto as a country. One other thing I want to mention to you, the number to call is 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396 to call to make a pledge or a donation. I'm looking at a story right here from a website in the UK called The Tablet, and it is talking about how the internet has given folks easy access to black magic and Satanism, and they're attributing this as what's responsible for the increasing demand for exorcisms from the Roman Catholic Church, the Anglican Church, and other places. So the internet, we saw it with suicide, bad news. It's also bad news when we regard to spiritual warfare. Be right back after this.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Wildman, president of American Family Association and American Family Radio. Hey, we're right in the middle of our In God We Trust Share-a-thon. Folks, we don't have any other support than the Christian community who listen to AFR and are willing to stand with us financially. So we need to hear from you during our Share-a-thon. Please call us at 877-616-2396. That's 877-616-2396 or afr.net.
This is Iris calling from Texas. I want to say that I am so thankful for AFR. I think you have the best Christian programming anywhere. It keeps me informed. I pray for you daily, and I tell everybody about you because I want to stay informed on the news and the things happening from a Christian perspective. And I appreciate your boldness, sharing the gospel, supporting Christian ministries, and blessing America this way.
It's our national motto, In God We Trust. Call now at 877-616-2396 or give online at afr.net. Spring Share-a-thon 2018 continues on American Family Radio.
Like the man said, 877-616-2396 is the number to call. 877-616-2396. Just want to thank Wiley and Lawana from Satsuma, Alabama. Elaine from Bogalusa. That's one of my favorite city names in the whole country, Bogalusa, Louisiana. Hayward from Earlsboro, Oklahoma. Deborah from West Fork, Arkansas. Linda Turner from Tupelo. Nellie from Lafayette. Madonna from Amarillo. Richard and Michelle from Muskegon, Michigan. Kate from Abilene. Roger from Whitewater, Kansas. Great to have you. Thank you for your generosity, one and all. And again, I just want to, touch on that. We believe in spiritual warfare here. We believe in Ephesians 6 and everything that's in there about our battle is really not against flesh and blood. It's against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places. And what we're being told here by this secular outfit in the UK is that the internet is providing an explosion in black magic and Satanism and increased need for exorcism. So if the world is out there telling us that we've got a rapid increase in the intensity of spiritual warfare, then I think maybe we as believers in the Bible and Christ ought to believe that. 877-616-2396 is the number. 877-616-2396. Here's your anthropogenic global warming hoax, sham, and scam alert. The global warming sham, scam, and hoax alert. Snow records, yahoo.com, snow records toppled in South Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. Records fell as, listen to this, an April snowstorm blanketed the upper Midwest. The National Weather Service says 14.9 inches at the Minneapolis airport from Friday through Sunday set a record for the largest April snowstorm ever, the snowiest April on record in the Twin Cities, and it's the snowiest start to a calendar year, 70.3 inches since the turn of the year. People keep talking about global warming, and I think it's fair to ask, when are we going to start seeing some of that? When are we going to see it? Looking at this Neil Gorsuch ruling on immigration, that's something that we care about here because we care about our culture. Viktor Orban over in Hungary, he's put up a border security fence around his whole country. He's got his military on patrol on the border because he wants to protect the Christian civilization that they have in Hungary. And he does not want people that are flooding into his country across their border to bring a different set of cultural values into Hungary and to kind of dilute and pollute the culture that they've built there in Hungary. And Neil Gorsuch voted this week against a federal law that requires the deportation of immigrants convicted, quote, of a crime of violence. He said that's unconstitutionally vague. And here's the definition of a crime of violence according to the Immigration and Nationality Act that's under discussion here. It's an aggravated felony that includes a crime of violence, which is defined this way, as any offense that involves the use or substantial risk of physical force against another person or property. Now, this immigrant, the native and citizen of the Philippines, in 2007 and 2009, he was convicted in California for first-degree residential burglary. Now, if you want to think of a crime that has a substantial risk of physical force becoming involved, residential burglary is one of them. I mean, I read stories, I know you do too, Rob. I read stories every single week about burglars breaking into homes and getting shot at, getting even gunned down by homeowners, by teenagers with an AR-15, by grandma with a gun. Happens every week. Residential burglary contains, quote, a substantial risk of physical force. And for some reason, Neil Gorsuch thinks that's too vague. I don't get it. So Neil Gorsuch is going over to the dark side on that ruling. I'm not saying he's gone over to the dark side in general, but his thinking is clearly out of range on that one. Well, let's grab another listener testimony. Number to call is 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396. Before we play the listener testimony, thank you to Barbara in North Chesterfield, Virginia, Linda in Fruitport, Michigan, Ira in Columbus, Joey in Sumner, Georgia, Elaine in Dublin, Danielle in Warner Robins, Georgia, Dale in Lydia, South Carolina, Neil in Madison, Alabama, Anita in Plano, Texas, and Brenda in Poto, Oklahoma. Let's listen.
Hi, this is Bob from Virginia. I want to say that the only bad thing about American Family Radio is that there even has to be an American Family Radio. AFR is the largest entity leading the culture war, while America's 501c3 silent pastors have been whipped into silent obedience. And that leaves, unfortunately, our 80 million kids in America's K through college system at the complete mercy of those who oppose America's founding. Our institutions and the Christian church is the #1 target, our culture and our values. And we can never hope to win against numbers like that. We must take back America's schools. So please, give your full support to AFR and what it is doing for us when the American church as a whole has forfeited its voice of moral authority to which the nation used to look.
Focal point, American Family Radio, Bryan Ficher, Spring Share-a-thon, In God We Trust, and I hope you will enlist with us in fighting this fight for religious liberty and seeking to encourage churches to take their rightful place as the conscience of America. And we do have, the good news is we have several hundred churches that are a part of our network. Wesley Wildman, who is our Director of Outreach here at AFA, is making an effort to contact these churches, let them know that we're available to help them in any way that we can. We hear from pastors all the time who listen to the network, listen to the program, are encouraged by it. And so we're happy to be a part of that. We look forward to the day when we will see churches rising to the challenge instead of going over to the other side. And, you know, we had a bunch of evangelical pastors got together earlier this week at Wheaton, Illinois, to talk about what evangelicals are supposed to do in the wake of the Donald Trump presidency. It's like they're treating the Donald Trump presidency as some kind of a blight on America that has to be corralled, it has to be corrected, it has to be stopped, and they as evangelicals are going to stop it. And yet Donald Trump, think of, you know, and again, I don't sign off on everything that Donald Trump does or says. I don't know any evangelical who does. You know, I've never heard an evangelical say that he thinks that what Donald Trump supposedly did or did not do 13 years ago is okay. None of us say that. So it's just silly to accuse us of that, think that we're okay with that or something like that. But, you know, you think of the good things that Donald Trump has done, the way he's defended the sanctity of human life, renewing the Mexico City policy, providing an office of civil rights in the Health and Human Services Division so that medical providers who have their conscience rights threatened They're forced to participate in abortions. They're forced to participate in hormone therapy for transgenders. And Donald Trump is going to bat for them, saying, no, we have religious liberty in America. People have a right to their conscience. They have a right not to have their conscience infringed, especially at the hands of government. He's protecting religious liberty. He has issued a ruling against transgenders in the military. So we're starting to ratchet back on the pro-homosexual agenda in the military. That's under our new commander-in-chief. So a lot of good things. I mean, that's just a subset of the things, the good things that the president has done on behalf of religious liberty. In fact, perhaps has done more than any other president in defense of religious liberty, and yet these short-sighted evangelical leaders, end quote, are out there trying to bash this guy every time you turn around. Even on the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, and that's pretty important to us because that's where we get our license to broadcast and all that. And now with a Republican president, they're entitled to a majority of representation, conservatives or Republicans, on the FCC Commission, and they have it. They've got a 3-1 majority now. Commissioner Mignon Clyburn, she's the daughter of James Clyburn from South Carolina, she's going to be quitting. So, it's again like these, conservatives serve on these boards for years and years. Even though we're in the minority, we keep getting stomped on, we still serve and all that. But when the Democrats get in the minority, they just can't take it because they want to run things. I mean, that's what they love to do, is dictate to all of us what our policies and what we ought to think. And she voted for things like net neutrality regulations, and she's gone now. She's stepping down from the FCC, and that is a piece of good news. Let's grab one more listener testimony as we come to the end of the hour. The number to call for a pledge or donation, 877-616-2396, 877-616-2396.
I've never called, done anything like this before, but I felt it necessary to let you guys know how important what God is doing through y'all is. I was at work one morning by myself, and I was listening to one of your programs, and it was a sermon that was playing, and it touched me to the core and helped me get back on a path that I'd wandered away from a long time ago. I feel closer to Jesus now than I ever have. And the prayers that you guys pray and the messages that y'all preach, you never know when there's someone out there that desperately needs to hear it. And I'm someone that desperately needed to hear it. I need to hear it every day. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Amen to that. And let's close this hour in prayer. Number to call, 877-616-2396 to make a pledge or a donation. Let's pray some of what we talked about in 1 Kings back to God. Lord, we ask you for leaders at every level who will have hearts that are fully devoted to you and committed to doing only those things that are right in your eyes. Please raise up righteous leaders for us who will reverse the moral decline that we see in our own day. Purify our worship as a people, that we would not serve or acknowledge any false gods, but instead worship you and you alone. I pray for all of us that each of us will commit ourselves to doing only that which is right and good in your eyes, that we will refuse to do anything which is evil in your eyes. By your grace, may our lives provoke others to love and good deeds, and not to the sin that will provoke you to anger. In Jesus' name, amen. See you back here tomorrow, 877-616-2396.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
American Family Association, a ministry with a mission to inform, equip, and activate people like you to strengthen the moral foundations of American culture and to give aid to the church here and abroad in her task of fulfilling the Great Commission.